Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in. Welcome to SAP Fiori Fundamentals Office Hours number 2. Today we have a special guest with us. We've got Christian here. Welcome, Christian. How's it going, man?
Hi, greetings from Waldorf. Hi.
Cool, we got you. Yeah, so I got a message
Great.
from Christian back in October. I think it was a late night message, at least for me. And he said he was working on a prototype, working in Vue.js, and using our library to put some things together. And now today, several months later, it seems like he's got a full library and a bunch of secrets to tell us. So I'm going to leave it to him. He's going to give us a little presentation, an overview of Vue, and yeah, take it away, Christian.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure so far to work on with the fundamental styles, and it will continue to be so. But just me. I mean, in the meantime, a lot of people have joined me, and Ramona, Deepshikha, a lot of people are working on fundamental Vue, so it's all great, and it's not just me. But that being said, thanks everyone for joining, and well, please post any questions you might have in the chat or somewhere else. We will pick them up. So yeah, last time Zach showed you how to use fundamentals with an Angular project, I believe. And today I would like to do something very similar, but with Vue.js. So, and as was already mentioned, there's also a set of Vue components for building apps using the fundamental styles. And this library is called Fundamental Vue. And yeah, today's office hour, it's all about getting started with fundamental Vue. Yeah, let me just tell you really quick what I specifically would like to show you today. So yeah, let me just move to the next slide. So the agenda for today is I will start really quick with a painless introduction into Vue.js and fundamental Vue. And I won't go into the details. I will simply give you a very brief, let's call it management summary. And then I will show you two different ways how to get started with fundamental Vue. I will start by using fundamental Vue without any tooling. And this should not take a lot of time. But once we saw that, how that works, I will show you how to use fundamental Vue with the maximum tooling support that is available at the moment. So you'll see both worlds. And I will wrap up by extending the Hello World application example. And yeah, just to get an idea about how it works and how it's all sticking together. And one more remark. So the examples and links and stuff that I'll mention during this office hours, you don't have to keep track of every little detail I mentioned because we'll put a link below, or it's already there, that contains everything mentioned during this this office hour. And so you can check back later at any time and try everything at your own pace. So yeah, now that out of the way, let's dive right in. So in case you have never heard of Vue, Vue describes itself as a progressive framework for building user interfaces. And I like that self-description because it's precise, but maybe a little bit too precise. Why? Well, what is meant by progressive? What does that mean in practice and in theory? And it means that Vue was designed to be incrementally adoptable. And in practice, yeah, it looks like this. So you drop Vue into an existing application and you start to use parts of, so, you know, a little bit of Vue here and Vue there. And but this is what's meant by progressive. So this is possible because Vue has a well-defined and relatively small API that you can use just like almost any other small utility library. But at some point, you may realize that you naturally have evolved your original application into a fully fledged Vue app. And there's no complete developer buy-in. So you don't have to adopt Vue in one big push, and that's it. But you can, do little by little. And Vue is also relatively small, which helps it, which makes it easy to use alongside other frameworks. So that being said, Vue, of course, is also great if you have a fully fledged Vue app, and with or without an existing code base. So that doesn't really matter. It makes fun. So that's Vue. Now fundamental Vue. Fundamental Vue. It's more or less simply a combination of the Fiori fundamental styles and Vue.js. So that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, that being said, now you know what all those parts are. Let's get started. If you want to follow along or have a look at what I'm now about to show you, you can open this link in your browser. But as I mentioned, you will find this link also in the description in the video. And so let me just open this link and so that you can see what's going on. There it is. So this is what I will build without any tooling support. And on the left, you see the source code. And on the right, you see the result. If I click show, you see a popover opens. That's nice. So let's just build that without any tools. So this, what you see here, is the solution, but I will now build it from scratch. And all I need is a web browser and an editor, and I'll make a directory. And create a file and open it in my favorite editor. And what I can do now is I can simply go to our documentation. And if you scroll down a little bit, you will see that there's a fundamental Vue in 5 minutes or less guide. So this is what you want to refer to when you just want to try out fundamental Vue. So, and let me copy and paste these snippets. This will go in the head tag. And the second snippet here is going into the body. And that's it. So if I now open this up in my browser, sure enough, I will see the exact same thing. So that was easy, and that's all I wanted to show you for the how am I getting started with fundamental Vue without any tooling. So that's it. You need an index HTML page, and you can get started. And that's a valid approach. You can do it like that. But I promised to you that I will also show you another way, and that's how to use fundamental Vue with the maximum amount of tooling that is available at the moment. And I will do that now. So let me go one directory in the parent directory and clear everything. So as I already mentioned, using fundamental Vue without any tooling is certainly a valid approach. However, tooling gives you a lot of benefits. So you get, for example, you get hot module replacement. So every time you save a file, you will see your changes immediately, even without refreshing the browser. And this is super handy because you're not losing your state, context, scroll position, and this allows you to iterate very fast. And you also get automated testing, linting, build utilities, a lot of things. And by using the tooling, you also, sit on the shoulders of giants, because the tooling is mainly developed by Vue and other projects. And so the fundamental Vue project has simply extended this existing functionality just a tiny bit. So in essence, both approaches are, I'm saying again, both approaches are valid with tooling and without tooling. Personally, I always recommend that you should rely on the tooling support. So in order to set up fundamental Vue with tooling support, we need two things. We need the Vue command line command line tools. So this is just a command line tool developed by the Vue project that you can install by running npm install, and then I've already installed this, and that's why I'm not hitting enter right now. But let me just 1 second. So I'm back. The other thing is that you need, in order to everything works together, you need you need the fundamental Vue CLI plugin, and but I will show to you in a little bit. So sorry. What I'm now doing is I'm creating a Hello World application, and I do that by saying Vue create Hello World. Hello World is just my project name. And I hit enter. And now the command line interface asks me, okay, pick a preset, please. I'm going with the defaults. The defaults are, in most cases, fine. And yeah, this takes a little bit. So if you don't want to go with the defaults, that's also fine. Then a wizard will guide you through the whole process, which just takes a few seconds usually. But as I already mentioned, the defaults are fine with me. And yeah, this should only take a few more seconds. And don't worry, you only have to do that once. And by the way, Vue itself has absolutely no dependency. So this is all just tooling and developer support. Yeah, so what I will do once everything is finished is I will simply launch the dev server and have a look at what this command line tool has created for me. So I cd into the hello world directory, and then I run npm run serve. And now the development server is starting, and yep. So I can now go to port to the side here, and yeah, sure enough, Vue says hello. So that's great. Now, in order to get all those things into my project that I've just created, the style sheets, the component libraries, and maybe a layout, all I have to do really is type in Vue add fundamental. And what's now happening is behind the scenes, Vue is installing the fundamental plugin that we've developed and is launching it. And that's here we are. So now I have the opportunity to pick one of two layouts. The first layout, the full app layout, which is the layout that I should pick when I want to work on a full app. So this will give me a nice app layout with a shell bar, site navigation, and other little cool things that I will show you in a minute. And none is simply just give me fundamental Vue and the style sheets, and don't touch my other remaining components that I may already have. So But I'm going now with the full app layout. I simply hit enter. And now all the things are being installed. So yeah, so now you see the CLI is now done, and it's telling you, okay, here we have a few changes made to these files, and we've maybe added a few files. And but I don't want to go into the details right now into what's now changed. I will simply run npm run surf again and show you what's now. How does the app look like now? So it's now building everything. It's done. And now I'm hitting refresh. So this is what you then have once you've executed the view add fundamental command. You have your shell with the shell bar. You have on the left side, you have a site navigation with already two menu items in there. I can go to the about page, and we now here have the about page. I can go back to home. I have a menu here, and this is now what I have. So what I would like to do now is I will now open this project up in Visual Studio Code and walk you through the whole project. And after that, I will, try to extend this app so that you get an idea about how everything works and sticks together. So let me do that. So what do we have here? Here we have on the left side, make it a little bit bigger. So on the left side, we see the project structure, and first thing first, the main file. This is the entry point. So this is where all begins, basically. So I won't go through this line by line, but on a high level, this is where we bring everything together. Vue, fundamental view, a router component, HTML, and this is the glue. This is sticking everything together. And the next thing of note is the app.vue file. So this is my main Vue component, which creates the whole app layout. I'm using the shell bar and shell. I have a custom shell bar in here, which I will show you in a second. And you also see the site navigation, which is here. And yeah, the site navigation has a optional integration with Vue Router. And Vue Router is a utility library that is optional in Vue, that helps you with routing through your application. And this integration is turned off by default, but I can turn it on the site navigation by setting the mode to router. And I will later tell and show you why this is so cool. But for now, let's just make a mental note about it, that we have router support enabled, and let's leave it at that. And now to the views directory. So this directory contains the individual views or pages. And there's one for the home page, and you see it's just having displaying the home title by using a section and a panel, and it's displaying home page. So, and we also have the about page, which is more or less the same thing. By the way, the layout, I mean, the directory structure and file names I'm using here are just a starting point. So you can move things around, you can rename files and folders and you can make this your own, basically. So this is just to give you an idea. But yeah, I mean, the home and about views are very simple, and they have just a title and a content, but this is fine. I mean, you can build on that. You can replace this text about page here with any other component you might have, and build little by little, and make your app more and more fit your needs and your specific requirements. The components directory here contains the Hello World component we saw earlier. By installing the fundamental plugin, we didn't change anything there, but the shell bar is in there now. This is just a wrapper around the fundamental Vue shell bar, which is imported by the app.vue layout. And we did this so that the app component is not so much cluttered with this, because you won't change the shell bar that often. Maybe you will change the product name once and maybe have a slightly different menu here, and that's that. So the router file, yeah, that's the interesting thing here. This is just the standard Vue router setup that we didn't do anything specifically here or special here. We just told the Vue system, okay, we need a router, and the router, I can add routes here, and there are two routes, one for the home page and one for the about page, and I can associate components with each route. So here I have imported the home component and the about component. And let me now tell you a little bit more about the Vue Router. So Vue Router is a routing add-on for Vue, and it works like this. So you define your routes, and now I'm simplifying a little bit. Each route has a name, for example, home or about, and the component that is then displayed once this route is matched. And in order to understand how this is now related to our application, we have to go back to the app layout and scroll down a little bit. So we have here a property which is holding our navigation items. These are the things that are displayed in the site navigation. And so we have a name, which is then displayed with the home item in the site navigation. This is this one here. And we have the about page. This is that one. And I can also associate the icon with each menu item. But, and now this is the important part, I can also associate a route with each navigation item. And this is done by specifying a to property, which is then again specifying the route. And so I'm basically saying in this file here, okay, when a user clicks on the home site navigation item, please go to the home route or navigate to the home route. And if I press on the about item, please go to the about route. And remember, in the routes configuration, I did something very similar. I associated a route with the component. And so now our site navigation has all the information it needs. And to do something really cool, let me just show you. So you may have noticed on the left side, I've clicked on about, and about is now highlighted. And if I click on home, home is highlighted. But when I copy and paste this address here in the address bar and open a new tab, navigate, I have obviously start the dev server. It will only take a few seconds, and let me also rearrange my screens. Okay, great. So I've now navigated, I've simply opened this URL here, and you see that automatically the about site navigation item is highlighted without me having to click anywhere. So this is what I mean by our router navigation in the site navigation. So as long as I have a site navigation and each item in there has a route associated with it, and I'm using Vue Router, this is all I get this behavior for free. So I can go back to home, to about, and it just works. So that's nice. I like that. And so that now you know the structure of what we generate when you tell the fundamentals plugin, okay, I would like to have an app layout. And just that you get into the feel of what it feels like when you're modifying the application, let me do that. So I fear what I would like to do now is simply add a new entry to the site navigation, navigate to it, and maybe add a link in there that brings me somewhere else, you know? So at first I need a new page, and I'm simply copy and pasting the home component and rename it my page, maybe. And then I change the title and the content. And of course, this is now doing more or less nothing because this component is not used anywhere. For this to have any effect, I have to edit 2 more files, and I have to add a route for this thing, and I have to add it to my site navigation. So the route is added in the router.js file. Let me also just copy and paste this route here, my page. And now I have to import the component I just created. Page. And have to tell the route, okay, if the route called my page is matched, then please display my page in the main content area. And now I go back to my main layout component, and I can also just copy and paste this. By the way, the ID field here is soon optional, but for now I have to give it some kind of unique value. Nice icon, maybe a group. And I would like to navigate to my route called my page. So let me launch the server again. And let's hope that it all works. Okay, so great. On the left side, I see my page now. I click on it, and sure enough, on the right content area, I have the page I've just created. Okay, there seems to be a small bug, but let's now not spend too much time with that. What I would like to show you now is the my page. Let's assume I have this component here, and I would like to now create a link that brings me back to the home page or to the about page, maybe. I can do that by simply having this router link component. This is a component that is that's shipping with the Vue Router add-on. And this is basically in the end rendering an anchor. And I can say navigate to about. And now I can simply specify a route by using the syntax here. I say, okay, the route has a name. And I would like you to navigate to the route called about. And let's see if that works. Okay, so I have this link here, and okay, it seems to work. I'm not sure why on the left side we just had a small glitch. I will check that after the session has concluded, but I think you get the idea. So this router link, I can specify any route here. It doesn't have, I can specify a route by name, by path. I can pass parameters in there. But this is just a very basic example. I navigate to the route called about. And this is how you navigate from one page to the other. And by the way, I'm very well aware that, for example, here, if I go to the router setup, that there's a lot of redundancy going on. So I specify here the path called about, the name is about, and then more or less the exact same thing is repeated over again in the site navigation configuration, where also I have name about, the ID is about, and the route is called about. But this is intentional because by having it redundant, this allows you or anyone who is then building on top of this to see the patterns that are repeating, and to more or less eliminate this redundancy by adding a little helper function here and there. So it's really, the redundancy is here to help you understand by repeating things again and again, that maybe it makes sense to maybe refactor that or not. Maybe you have some really special need for each navigation item that you can't really abstract it or have a generalized approach. So that's in the end up to you. So one other thing that I recommend is if I right click here on this page and I click inspect, there's something called the Vue Dev Tools, and it's just a browser extension, and it then pops up here. And this is a really great thing. So if you're working with Vue, you should really use that. So for example, I can see here now that we know what routing is in the context of a Vue application. I can see here the history. I can see, okay, now go to my page, and I see, you see what's going on here. I see this is the bug. I have the route is somehow missing a path. I think I've copy and pasted. I made a mistake. So that's also why this is highlighted 2 times here. So that's how easy it is then to find a bug or an error you just made. And you also see your components here, your whole hierarchy, and you also see each prop. You can modify the prop, and there are also much more advanced things like this functional store, and so on and so forth. But here is, if you're really getting into Vue and fundamental Vue, I highly recommend this extension. And remember, you can use Vue with and without tooling. We recommend that you use it with tooling. And that's all I wanted to show you. And I will give back to Eric.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So let's see if we've got any questions around here. Nothing in the chat. Things are pretty quiet. I've got a couple that were submitted over some forms here. The first one was from, it looks like, Prathik. He's from Ernest & Young, GDS India. He says, or he asks rather, would like to hear updates on Fiori fundamentals. I think the best thing there is to tune into these. So we're going to try to do these like every 3-4-ish weeks, depending on what kind of content we have. We always want somebody to hop on and share their experience with fundamentals and projects that they're working on. But this is a good place for updates. Checking in on our website is a good place for updates. Any of the GitHub repositories. So I'll link to those in the description of this video afterwards as well. But we try to keep everyone as updated as best as possible. And then lastly, and kind of most importantly, we have a Slack community now, which I'll also link to in YouTube description. But the Slack will be good to, even specifically ask questions about if you've got a React project. There's a React channel where that community is of contributors are all answering questions. So we're definitely going to promote that more. But thanks for submitting that question. That was back in January. So we've got a little bit of a backlog here. I won't take up too much time, I'll just answer a couple more and we'll cut everybody loose. But let's see what else we got. We actually have one from Christian here. Do you remember your question,
Me?
Christian?
No, I hope it's nothing mean. Go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
It's
What was my question? Yeah.
we want to slowly migrate from Bootstrap to fundamentals
Yeah,
and use them
sure.
both in
Yeah,
parallel.
now I remember the question. Hmm?
Yeah, what do you think, man? Are you in a
Yeah,
different spot now?
yeah. Yeah, maybe I can also clarify the question. So what I tried to do was to have a version of Bootstrap, and I wanted to migrate to Fiori fundamentals. And I noticed that when I simply, naively import both the style sheets, then there are some clashes in the styles because both obviously, for example, define styles for their forms and stuff. And so I was wondering back then, okay, how to do that? Do you have thoughts on that? What's your best? What do you think?
Yeah, so we've tossed some ideas around on the team at one point about just like having to specifically opt into every single style that you want to use. It's interesting because if you start up a project just like you did with Vue, or if you just have something you want to start from scratch, it's really nice just to not have to worry about styling a bunch of stuff. But then in that scenario where you've already got styles written, or you want to bring in two libraries for some reason, maybe Bootstrap has some extra utilities or something you want to use, it's tricky. So I feel like we need to offer a little bit of both. We need to offer the ability to like just opt into things and just pull pieces of the library that you want to use, which you can if you use SCSS already. But yeah, I think that's TBD. I think we need to keep talking about it and keep working towards it, and just consider like all the scenarios that the library is used in. But yeah, man.
So what in the end, what I actually did was I created a CSS file called Fiori, and added a simple class to it called Fiori, and then in this class I simply imported all the fundamental styles. Right. And this seems to work. And then everyone, who says, okay, I would like now from this div on, or from this element on, I would like to use Fiori. I simply have to add the Fiori class to it, and in this element, I can use Fiori as usual. I can then also copy and paste the documentation, or simply use your documentation and paste it right in my code. So that
sure.
At a moment it works.
For sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we've got a testing environment where we even have the ability to just like turn Bootstrap on and off and kind of see what the results will be. But yeah, those base elements always kind of throw a wrench into things. But yeah, man, thank you. What else we got here? Looking through the list. From Milos, CLM, Calidus Cloud. Sorry if I pronounce any of that wrong. There's a good chance I did. Our dropdown is going to support direction, top, bottom, left, right. Yes. Yeah, so we actually have a pretty recent ticket that has come in, both for dropdowns, popovers in general, anything that has that little piece of UI that comes up and has an arrow to it. We're definitely going to provide all the directions as best as we can. There's a lot of scenarios, but yes, sir. And then I'll do one more. Let's see. Yeah, we're at 10:40-ish. From Jan at McCoy and Partners, I would like to see a demo of Fiori fundamentals with React. We are considering React as a library. I've got some good news for you. We're going to try to do one of these office hours with a focus on React. So I think the next one is going to be another Angular topic that we'll do in three weeks or so from now. But we're going to prioritize getting React in there too. So that is definitely coming. But like I said, I'll include at least the link to the GitHub repository for the React library. and then you can at least poke around and get educated in that. But then whoever is presenting, try to attend the office hours then, try to hop in chat, ask any specific questions you have while we've got them on the horn. Taking a look back at chat, it looks pretty quiet, so I think that means we're about wrapped up. Any last thoughts, Christian?
I hope they're all doing Vue right now.
For sure. Yeah, everyone's too busy working on their new Vue app to ask us any questions. But yeah, feel free to reach out. Like I mentioned, I'm going to include a bunch of links, especially the Slack. It's definitely a growing community. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of questions. So yeah, just join us wherever we're at, and we'll be back here with another office hours in 3-ish weeks or so. Cool. Thanks, Christian. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.